deep diving into these cases is like dancing with the devil. But when you dance with the devil doesn't change. He changes you.
Hi, y'all. Hi, y'all. Hi, y'all.
Hi. Hello.
My handsome hubby, I bringeth to you. I'm grabbing a snack and I'm heating up some ginger ale. The hubby here got himself a very cute accessory. You want to show him, baby? And welcome, everybody. I'll be here in a minute, but Mister's gonna do his thing right now.
Yes, indeed. We're going to be reading The White Lie.
Dirty part of the South. You are too cute. I have to show you guys something. Hold on. It was so funny. It made me chuckle while I was on the toilet. We were going through suspects tonight, and because Hunter's dad threw a big commotion over his son being called a suspect. But this was just cute. Me listening to voices behind the wall. My face don't lie. Every time anyone said Robin was not guilty. We don't have good poker faces, though. Not like her little shit when she goes. This song was everything. I feel you, girl.
The truth is hard to swallow, just digest it.
She said, what the fuck? Too cute.
Yeah. Well, somebody's guilty, that's for damn sure. All right, so we're going to have a little story time, I guess. Let's start reading this book, The White Lie by Walter T. Ray.
Somebody sent me a link, and I will find it and share it on community posts so that next session you guys can follow along if you want. But there is a link apparently to free link to like read it on virtual or whatever. I'll find it. Someone sent it to me. I'll figure it out and share it if it's a legit thing on community posts so you guys can follow along if you want to. But you're probably on your devices watching and listening to us anyway. But yeah, anyways. Thank you, baby.
All right, well, first I'm going to fire one up here. My reading pipe. Welcome. Yeah, I'm trying to quit smoking, so I got a pipe, doing the pipe tobacco thing, and hopefully that will do the trick. I haven't had very many cigarettes, so fingers crossed. But anyways, so we're going to do Chapter 1, The White Lie by Walter T. Ray.
As much as you want, babe. We don't have to do the whole chapter tonight if you don't want.
Chapter 1, How to Change History. With the turn of the century to the 1800s, the world had a lot of patching up to do. America had her contest with Britain and was on the doorstep of becoming a nation. The European continent was staggering to its feet after another bruising and exhausting fight with itself, not unlike what had been going on for centuries. The nations to the east, Russia being the large symbol, were still causing concern to the west, as had been so since the territories of Russian religions had fought the Battle of Tours in 732, and the Mongolian hordes had come down from the north to try to take the Holy Land from the Christians. Oh, I burned out here.
Do you need anything?
I'm good, honey. Though the years from 1800 to 1900 would be a time of stabilization, they would also be years of change and uncertainty, a dichotomy that is not unusual in history. Political, religious, social values would all be re-examined and on many levels discarded. In American politics, the two-party system would emerge, and the territories that were to become the states would begin to copy some form of nationalism. Personalities would leave their mark on national and local law and political framework. The Civil War would weaken and yet unite a nation. The European nations would continue their struggle for identity and power. The expansion of the American West brought great change in values. Land and individualism became important consideration in the lives of people. Property was available to many for the first time. Things became desirable, many things. Life and progress that for many, for almost a millennium, had hardly seemed desirable, and for most elsewhere in the world, hardly obtainable, now lay on the golden shores of the new land and seen within reach of those who would work and strive to obtain. Opportunity, a word scarcely recognized in most of the world, seemed at hand. In religion, the early part of the century from the 1820s to the 1850s was to see one of the last gaps of the old-time drama of fear and hellfire in the name of God in heaven. That theme, which had been played out on the stages of Europe by both Catholics and Protestants, leaped the seas and became an exclusive American phenomenon in the Millerite movement. New in only some of its details, it replayed for the fearful and the guilt-ridden the old-time religious song that everybody wants to go to heaven but nobody wants to die. But die you must, said William Miller and his followers. And they even set the time for the event. After a lot of trouble with the heavenly calculators, they set the date of October 22nd, 1844 for the event, barring any serious complications, of course. It was a great drama, the Millerite movement, with charges by each group of players swinging wildly to one side of the stage to the other, each claiming to have God on their side. One would have to pay good money to see such a show anywhere else at any other time, but in America, it was free. It featured personalities, persons, occupations, sermons, diatribes, invectives, recriminations, attacks, and counterattacks, indeed a real holy war, all in the name of God. Reading of those days, one wonders if the real issue was not the same one it always seems to be in religion: who is going to control the concessions here and in the hereafter? It didn't take long for one group to buy up the franchise. What the Catholics and Protestants have been fighting about for centuries, in Europe, a group of leftovers from the Millerite movement decided to market in America. They had no doubt initially of a worldwide movement, But if the product sold, the world would become their oyster and heaven would become their ghetto. They were to become the Adventists. The seventh day would be their banner, and the second advent would be their song. Both ideas used products of the Millwright movement. There was really nothing new in the banner or the song. The Hebrews of old had held to the seventh day throughout the Old Testament. New Testament Christians had given some attention and lip service to the second coming since the days of Christ. But the names and dates and places would be changed to protect the guilty. In the minds of Ellen G. White, the Advent movement's psychic leader, and her supporters, there emerged the practice of interpreting the scriptures, past, present, and future, in terms of Adventist concepts and beliefs. Not a new idea, but one that would fit the times of the 19th century. The ancient Hebrews had promoted the idea that they were the keepers of the oracles of God, and there are those who still believe they are. The Catholics in the New Testament times and after worked to perfect that Jewish idea to make Catholicism the custodian of all truth, even if they had to chain part of it to the wall. Now, in the middle of the 19th century, it was the Adventists' turn. In order for any group or organization to pull off the idea that they have been given the concessions to the hereafter, that they are indeed the ones God has chosen to sell the indulgences for this life and the utopia to come, they must always tackle the job of rearranging or reassigning the facts of history and rewriting the canon, the Bible of the true believer, so that both will be in harmony with their preconceived ideas, misconceptions, and prejudices. At the same time, claiming that the Holy Book is the final word of authority. Quite a task for anyone in any age. No wonder the idea has never really caught on in the religious world for too long a time, although those who have tried deserve A for effort. With no thought of failure, the Adventists assign this awesome task to the person they like to call the weakest of the weak, Ellen Gould Harmon. Ellen was born a twin at Gorham, Maine, November 26, 1827, to Robert and Eunice Harmon, practicing members of the Methodist Episcopal Church. And she would marry James White on August 30th, 1846, 3 months short of her 19th birthday. So hopefully you guys are hearing me all right. A little puffy. Okay. There were no advanced signs that she was to become the hometown girl who made good. She did not begin with fame or fortune. Her chances of catching the brass ring seemed slim until misfortune smiled on her. When she was 9, an accident that happened that, according to her, was to affect her whole life, like the Apostle Paul with his eye trouble. Ellen, throughout the rest of her life, as we are often reminded, was the product of her physical misfortune. She had fainting and dizzy spells. Her nervous system made her prostrate at times. She gave in to despair or despondence. After a blow to the head from a stone thrown by a schoolmate, she gave up her schooling and, as Adventists enjoy telling it, never gained an education beyond the 3rd grade. What should be noted is that she did not gain a formal education beyond that grade. All of us learn or are educated as long as we wish to be and are aware, and there is little proof that Ellen was not aware. Here was a ready-made opportunity. Religious history gives ample evidence that the true believer is much more likely to accept the dictums of the simple-minded if these dictums can somehow be given a heavenly setting. especially in Western Christianity, religious belief generally centers on a few main themes. All men created, not necessarily equal, a rather new political idea. All men are sinners, and women too, another rather new political idea, whatever that may mean. Depending on the system's definition of sin, life is a boat trip through a sea mined with explosives called temptation, usually defined as women, or men as the case may be, wine, and song. And as the curtain falls, man has to die. Well, that's it. Except the excitement and action come when different ones, be they groups or individuals, organizations, or roving bands, start drawing up on the game plan and fretting about the details. For example, who did the creating? How much time did it take? Who is making their notes? And how truthful is the record of the event? Who tagged all of us with sin? Was it God? Or that snake in the grass that came in when Adam was down on the South 40? Or do we get it from our ancestors of past eons? Or is it the devil, like Santa Claus, our dad? The matter of sin has always fascinated theologians and non-theologians alike. For this reading, theologians are those who practice defining or playing God, naturally the one who makes up the list, for others has a jump on the game. Throughout history, most mystics, divines, theologians have had a crack at making up a list of sins. One of the safest ways to do this is to leave off the list the things you personally enjoy. This has to be done by most all who make up lists. And last, the group organization must tackle that final question, at death, where do we go and when? Before, during, or after? No one has yet come up with a satisfying answer to this one, since it's much harder to get back here once you leave than to get here in the first place. Not too many have come back to give an annual report of the other side. This fact alone gives large latitude to one of fertile mind, imagination, and ability to describe the horror or glory of the hereafter for a price. It is safe to say that the fear of the trip we have not yet taken is a powerful weapon in the hands of those who, by some means, have made the trip and come back to sell us the way. Ellen was to be equal to the task. She was eventually to leave for the believer through the Adventist concepts, information, instruction, admonition, and counsel on all the foregoing matters. From a shaky start with amalgamation of man and beast in one of her early books, she straightened things out later with her reading of Paradise Lost. Her extra canonical visions of dialogue, battle, and ouster of Satan and his angels gave vividness and form to John Milton's great poem that even the Bible writers lacked. Some of her early friends noticed the similarity and brought it to her attention, but she dismissed the question with the same ease that she did the most criticism. Her grandson, who was to inherit the duties of the keeper of the keys, gave much the same explanation over a period of 40 years, with one interesting deviation in his 1945 supplement to Volume 4 of her book, The Spirit Prophecy. It's a lighter.
Oh, thank you, Judy. Hi, Priestess. Hey, that thing doesn't stay lit. You look funny. Lighten it.
Mrs. White ever sought to avoid being influenced by others. Shortly after the Great Controversy Vision March 14th, 1858, at meetings in Battle Creek, held over a weekend, she told the high points of what had been shown her in that vision. Elder Jan Andrews, who at the time was in Battle Creek, was much interested. After one of the meetings, he told her some of the things she had said were much like a book he had read.
I'm Sorry to interrupt. Does it say Battle Creek?
Yep.
Is there not... now, am I crazy, but Battle Creek... Or we drove through a Battle Creek. I think we stayed in a Battle Creek. But I was thinking, was there not a Battle Creek in Tennessee? But anyway, sorry.
Could very well be.
I thought that was...
Then he asked if she had read Paradise Lost. She replied in the negative. He told her that he thought she would be interested in reading it. Ellen White forgot about the conversation, but a few days later, Elder Andrews came to the home with a copy of Paradise Lost and offered it to her. She was busily engaged in writing the Great Controversy vision as it had been shown to her. She took the book, hardly knowing just what to do with it. She did not open it, but took it to the kitchen and put it up on a high shelf, determined that if there was anything in that book like what God had shown her in vision, she would not read it until after she had written out what the Lord had revealed to her. It is apparent that she did later read at least portions of Paradise Lost, for there is one phrase quoted in Education.
So already in chapter 1, pointing out she's a plagiarist.
Yeah. I think this is the quote. The deviation referred to is the last sentence in the quotation from her grandson, the admission that she had indeed read John Milton's work. The question that seems to remain is whether she read it before or after her vision of the same controversy. Why she put the book up on a high shelf has remained puzzling to many. Perhaps the higher the better because of temptation. Who knows?
Why even have it there by you then?
Yeah. One writer who has studied the problem of Mrs. White and Milton's Paradise Lost may give some answers. Of unusual significance is the correlation found in a number of instances where both authors depict with some detail an experience which is not found in the Bible. Among such events are the following. The scene in heaven before and during the rebellion with the loyal angels trying to win the disaffected ones back to allegiance to God. The warnings issued to Eve to stay by her husband's side, her subsequent straying. The elaborate setting for the actual temptation with Satan's arguments analyzed point by point. The detailed picture of the immediate results of sin on Adam and Eve and on the animal and vegetable world about them. The explanation of the basic reason for Adam's fall, uxoriousness. The angels chronicling future events to Adam. And the feelings of both Adam and Eve as they left the garden. These likenesses in the narrative on points where the scriptures are silent intensify the question, why are these two authors living 200 years apart so much in agreement on major facts? Other studies in the same area have asked and failed to answer the question of why both authors, some 200 years apart, came up with these same non-biblical accounts, although the later writer claims she knew nothing of the work of the former. One by one, Ellen began to accentuate in her writings, which she claimed came from visions, each and every point of Protestant and Catholic theological controversy, starting with the beginning of all beginnings and proceeding through to the end of all ends. She gave a new and often startlingly inaccurate picture of the great controversy as is portrayed in the Bible. Although believers of all faiths have been somewhat hazy about the great controversy, she gave it with such assurance that some bought her version of it. Her pictures of events, her I saws, were to be so indelibly imprinted on the minds of the few that the future pattern of Adventism was set for generations. At the same time, her account also closed the door that had been open for Adventism to make a markedly different contribution to the world concept of religion. And the door remains closed to this day, because the Church of the Advent cannot get past the interpretations of the canon according to Sister Ellen. So she kind of painted everybody in a box there. No pattern of thought, no emergence of value, no interpretation of Scripture is allowed officially in Adventism until or unless it has first been examined, tested, and tried, and then dyed in the cloth of Ellen White. So a lot of hoops to go through if they want to change anything. The same could be said for the Book of Mormons with their Joseph Smith, the Christian Scientists with their Mary Baker Eddy, the Jehovah's Witnesses with their John F. Rutherford, the Lutherans with their Martin Luther, and others with their patron saints. Each church sees the world around and the future beyond through the eyes of its saints. If there is a world around them to live in, or one to shun in, it must conform to the way it is experienced by their saint. If there is a heaven to win or hell to shun, its definition and direction and even its occupants must be determined by the saint of the system and by that saint's interpretation of the canon as demonstrated in that saint's writings, which in turn are kept up to date by reinterpretation by later saints of the same or similar stripe or system. If you're following me at all, I hope you are. I know it's kind of complicated, but it is difficult, if not impossible, for present-day Adventists to look at themselves and their saint, Ellen White, in historical perspective. A 1979 article dealing with this view sent shockwaves through the church when it appeared in Spectrum, the independent journal published by the Association of Adventist Forums. The writer, Jonathan Butler, Associate Professor of Church Inventory, Church History at Loma Linda University, did a brilliant piece portraying Ellen White as a product of her times. Mrs. White's predictions of the future appeared as projections on a screen which only enlarged, dramatized, and intensified the scenes of her contemporary world. His conclusions were that she was a product of her times just as we all are, that it was her world that came to an end with the changing events of history that were not always fulfilled as she had seen. This was hard medicine for Adventists to swallow, inasmuch they had been taught to think of Ellen and her writings in isolation as if she had come straight down from heaven and remained isolated from all the events while on earth. It was only natural that they should think this. Thus, for they, beginning hearing for years that Mrs. White ever sought to avoid being influenced by others. This theme, which had never applied to any human being before, became the Adventist path into the unreal. Not very often, if ever, is one dealing with pure truth, either small or large in religion. One is dealing with its truth as filtered, expanded, diminished, bounded, or defined by the I saws of all the Ellens of Christendom, with a lot of help from the divines. What does emerge from all the froth is the map for this life and the one to come, if it indeed does come, is drawn by the clan, and thus becomes the clan plan. Heaven becomes the main gate to isolation, where all the bad as we conceive of it, which in humanity's case means other people, is snuffed out, and only us good guys go marching through. Thus we make our own ghetto. So that's the end of chapter 1. Now that was kind of a lot to swallow, but really not crazy stuff when you like think of it. Like all religions, they go by what the saints say, or certain people high up in their religious group. They go giving you wizard type vibes, but they're seen as someone to revere and to listen to, and that person is to guide them. Well, they kind of went like a little bit farther than most with Ellen White, and yeah, it didn't really pan out very well. So there's how many chapters are there here? There are 14 chapters. So we kind of got started late because Cher's other live went over the time she wanted it to go. So we'll only be able to do the one chapter tonight, but I hope that you guys kind of got the gist of what we're doing. Like, this is basically, this book is just like, it says the white lie, as in Ellen White. So it's basically just going to go through step by step and just show how wrong she was. Like, I haven't read this book, obviously. Yeah, you could hear me struggling with it. But I think we are, High Priestess. Not tonight. But I think on upcoming lives, I think Cher wanted to do that. Unless you guys absolutely hate me reading it to you. I don't know. I mean, you're the members, so it's kind of up to you, really. Started smoking a pipe a few days ago. I really like it. And it's helped me big time cut down on cigarettes, so. Plus, I look like like my IQ just went up 20 points.
Isn't he super handsome, though? I'm sorry. I don't know. I'm weird. I know, but
I can do the eyebrow too. So
he's my man. That's my man.
Elementary, my dear Watson.
Thank you to my man, Captain V, and my man. Thank you to my man. No, just kidding. You're doing awesome, babe. Thank you.
Who's the author? Is that person? Yes, Walter T. Ray, who
grew up in the Seventh Day Adventist.
Was in the Seventh Day Adventist. So it's like an insider's perspective.
Became a whistleblower and stayed in there to figure out what's going on here, because something ain't right, and I am going to get down to it.
Yep.
And stayed in it 15 years later while writing this book. It's crazy. It was well worth it. Our member / sister / mod Megs, she's probably not around right now because, again, she had a rough kind of week, as well as Grandma Ann. And so she lost a fur baby, and then when she was out, they were out trying to go bury the fur baby. There was accidentally a door left open, so the other fur baby got out and got hit by a car. But that fur baby is okay, just a hurt paw, went to the vet, it's gonna heal up nicely and be okay. So, but anyways, it was just a real rough day for them. But anyways, yes, so continue to keep them in your prayers, as well as Grandma Ann, please. But sorry to interrupt, really.
No, I finished the first chapter.
Oh, well, can we read on to a little bit more?
I think we'll actually, something I should probably do is
read the beginning pages a little.
Yeah, I'll read the prologue. That's probably what I should have read, before,
Okay.
so you guys kind of get a better idea. But yeah,
So then what we'll do is the next way we'll do open panel and go back and kind of re-listen, and then we'll do open panel for the next session. So we can all chit chat kind of about chapter 1, and that's how we'll do each chapter then, okay? And
yeah, I was thinking we
also,
do one chapter.
please don't forget, I do have pinned his Cash App, not his Cash App,
PayPal.
his PayPal for his chip jar, because it's not me that deserves a chip jar tonight, you guys. But I did get the $5 from, I'm gonna forget who, our bucket list. So thank you for that. But he deserves the tips for tonight on this, because he's the ladies wanted the voice, but he deserves the tips. But
Yeah, forward's really long, so we'll start with that next time.
you can read it right now.
Well,
Do
the
a few
prologue
more
is
minutes.
really long.
Well, I read part of the thing, so I thought maybe you could read.
Yeah, that's where I started.
That's where we started.
So that's
Yeah, reading the prologue.
all right. I'll read the prologue.
Yeah, read the prologue, and then we'll start next. Then next session we have, we'll do the open. We'll do the open panel and chit chat, and then that's when we'll start with chapter 2 and keep doing it like that. And I'm not sure, but I think I might be shocked. Is my baby willing to read all of the chapters for us?
I will.
And my man, thank you to my man. Got the beat. And my man singing, baby. Thank you to my man. He's the best. Okay, anyway.
Okay. So here's the prologue, which I should have read before the first chapter, but
That's okay, we're going backwards,
Yeah.
like Quentin Tarantino style. Okay, let's listen.
almost from the first time I heard of her, early in my teens, I became a devotee of Ellen G. White and her writings. I learned to type by copying from her book Messages to Young People. In high school and college, I often went from room to room in the dormitory gathering Ellen White quotations from others to use in my preparations for becoming a minister in the Seventh Day Adventist Church. It was during those days that I conceived the idea of preparing an Adventist commentary by compiling from the writings of Ellen White all the statements pertaining to each book of the Bible, each doctrine, each Bible character. You had lofty goals. Early in my ministerial life, which began in Central California in the latter 40s, I compiled 2 volumes of Old and New Testament Bible biographies, incorporating with each entry the pertinent quotations found in Ellen White's works. Some prominent persons in the church encouraged me in this project and thought that Ellen G. White estate might publish these collections to use as the book club the church was operating in those days. After a good deal of time and correspondence, I finally realized I had been naive and that the White estate had no thought of collaborating in such a way with anyone who appeared to be encroaching on their turf. They let me know in no uncertain terms that they held that heavenly franchise and that they would look with disfavor on anyone getting into their territory. Independently, however, I did publish 2 volumes of Bible biographies and a 3rd volume on Daniel and Revelation, all based on Ellen White's works. And soon these books were sold in most Adventist book and Bible houses and used in many Adventist schools and colleges in North America. So basically, F you, I'm doing it anyway.
Yeah.
The White estate people were not very happy about all this, and they brought up the subject with my regional union and local conference presidents. After some backing and hauling, pushing and shoving, They all agreed that the books could be sold if I would keep a low profile, inasmuch as they didn't think my volumes would be accepted on a broad scale anyway. In subsequent years, however, tens of thousands were sold. While working on my projected Volume 4, Ellen White's Quotations on Bible Doctrines, I happened across something interesting in Orlando, Florida, where I was a pastor of the Cress Memorial Church, named for Doctors Daniel H. and Loretta E. Cress, noted pioneers in the Adventist medical work. The Cress family gave me an old book by Ellen White, Sketches from the Life of Paul, published in 1883, but never reprinted. When I showed this book to a church member one day, I was told that the problem of the book was that it was too much like another book that had not been written by Ellen White, and that it had never been reprinted because of the close similarities. Being of an inquiring mind, I did a comparison study and discovered that some of the criticism seemed to be true. Later, after I transferred to California, the Wesley P. Magan family, also from established pioneer Adventists, were members of my congregation. At the death of Wellesley's father's widow, Lillian E. Magan, I was given a book from the Magan Library, Elisha the Prophet, by Alfred Edersheim. On the flyleaf was Ellen White's signature. By now, because of my constant use of Ellen White's books, I had become so familiar with them that I readily recognized similarities of wording and thought as I examined Ederson's book. Still later on, while I was studying at the University of Southern California toward a PhD degree, I was shocked to come across a 7-volume work on Old Testament history by the same Edersheim. This time I found in volumes 1 to 4 that Edersheim's chapter subtitles and page headings paralleled and were many times almost identical with the chapter titles of Ellen White's Patriarchs and Prophets in 1890. Time and study made it obvious that Mrs. White had obtained literal help from these additional Edersheim works. Further investigation would reveal that Edersheim had written also a New Testament theory on the life of Christ, and in this too there were additional similarities with Mrs. White's The Desire of Ages. Although disturbing, these findings were not too upsetting to me at the time.
My fingers are slippery. Yeah. Trying to make you guys laugh. Hold on. I just feel like you need a little bit of this. Okay.
Not until Bruce Weaver, a young seminary student at the Adventist Andrews University in Michigan, discovered an unmarked file of my work and comparisons in the White Estate duplicate material housed in the library there. Then did things begin to take on the air of a mystery tale. The White Estate accused Bruce of stealing the material from the library, although he only copied and returned it. In the end, Bruce was dismissed from the seminary and from the ministry, but not before he had taken a significant part in the drama. What he had found in the file was not just my material and the critique of it, but copies of some White Estate in-house letters by Robert W. Olson and Arthur L. White, revealing the concern these men at the office in Washington showed about Bruce's discovery of the material I had been sending to them as evidence of Ellen White's copying. Both had recorded their suggestions for dealing with the rail problem. Subsequent years revealed that they had adopted Arthur White's method, which was, in essence, to stonewall the matter and use as much pressure and double talk as possible. Good politicians. Olson took to the stump in an all-out effort to blunt the impact that my findings were beginning to have. For by now, people in various regions of North America were asking for evidence found in my research. At an afternoon presentation by Olson in January 1979 at Loma Linda University in California, someone in the audience asked about Mrs. White's borrowing from published sources. Olson's reply was to the effect that there was nothing to it, that all of her writings were her own. He then volunteered that there was some minister in Southern California making waves with allegations about borrowed material for her key book, The Desire of Ages, but that there was nothing to these rumors. To say that I was in a state of shock after the meeting is to put it mildly. My file at that time already had several letters from that same Olson encouraging me to keep sending them my comparisons of Ellison with her contemporaries. Furthermore, he had personally talked with me when he was in California only a short time before and had sought my promise that I would not publish any report on my work until he and the White Estate staff had been given additional time to survey the material. I had agreed to this request, and the fact of the agreement had been recorded in the in-house memo that he wrote afterward and that I held in my files. So now I knew that Robert Olson either had a very short memory or was telling a white lie. Get it? White lie? Mm-hmm. In any case, it was obvious that the White Estate people knew much more than they were telling. The files of the White Estate had referred to a book by William Hanna called The Life of Christ. Within 24 hours after the Loma Linda meeting, therefore, I had obtained Hanna's book. From that time on, I have learned more than I ever wanted to know. Spectrum, a journal published independently by the Association of Adventist Forums, gave a background account of a January 1980 committee meeting at Glendale, California. This meeting was called by General Conference President Neil C. Wilson at my urging that the consideration to be given to the scope of the findings of Ellen White's literary indebtedness. 18 of the church's appointed representatives went on record that what my research showed was alarming in its proportions, but that the study should continue with additional help. Likewise, Spectrum later reported my dismissal by the church after 36 years of service, primarily because of the disclosure article initiated and written by religious editor John Dart and published in the Los Angeles Times. Not one of the officials doing the firing had ever talked with Dart. Not one had seen the research on which the article was based. The heart of the issue itself was not important to church officials. It was necessary only that someone be punished so that others would stay in line, and so that both Ellen White and the Seventh Day Adventist Church would appear innocent of any wrongdoing. In the view of what I have observed, experienced, and learned, I have thought it proper and necessary to record for future generations my findings of ongoing study. These coming generations will want to know the truth about what has been unearthed from the past. It will be a part of what they will take into consideration in their religious experience and judgments. Despite much good counsel to the contrary, I have chosen the title, The White Lie, for my book. I do not apply that term separately and only to Ellen G. White. When we, any of us, give our consent or support to perpetuating a myth, in whole or in part, about any person or anything, we ourselves are thereby party to a white lie. The message of this book is to help reveal to all of us that often we do indeed carry on a legend. The worst lies that are told are the ones told in religion. Gotta agree there.
Mm-hmm.
In this study, I have intended to deal not only with the facts I have found, but also with their outworking in the church and in us personally, as I have come to view that outworking. I hope also to leave a lesson or two for those who may be looking for such lessons. Much study remains to be done on the question of why some of us accept as much as we do from whomever we do, while that thing is deep within us that is tapped to make us react as unquestioningly as we do to unreliable information, so that we may call it truth and let it govern our thinking and our lives. Yeah, so that's basically what we're in for.
So, what's the next chapter?
The next chapter will be it's called Go Shut the Door.
So, babe, tell them how we're... What?
Think you're about done for streaming?
No. No, I'm not done. What is it, do you think? Binks and candles. Ooh. So are you done chapter 1 yet?
Yes.
That was fast. What do you guys think? That was pretty fast, but
Yeah, my voice put her to sleep.
yeah, put me to sleep.
Yeah, we'll do. Are we gonna do chapter 2 tomorrow, or what?
Or you can
What
do
is your
it
plan?
right now if you want.
No, I gotta get to bed. I gotta work tomorrow.
Okay, we'll do chapter 2 tomorrow.
Mm-hmm. She's paused. She's doing the mannequin challenge.
No, I
Deep in
wasn't.
thought.
No, I wasn't. So what do you think of it so far? Chapter 1.
Yeah,
Hold
like
up.
I wasn't really too sure what this was going to be about. I had a pretty good idea. But yeah, it's definitely, he's going to go through everything that he found out that made him question Ellen White. That's why it's called The White Lie.
No, you lied.
And from the looks of it, it's going to be a lot more than just her, too. So it should be interesting. I don't know. Reading about religions and stuff like that is not always the most riveting stuff, but it is kind of interesting when you have someone who's going to be, like,
It is.
giving him a pretty good black eye.
And I'm going to have to go back over it. Yeah. Most definitely looking forward to it. Thank you. You guys are awesome.
It's something fun for me to do.
Yeah, because I like listening to you read.
Apparently,
And
some
that
people like
you
my
look
voice. So
sexy. Yeah, and his voice is great. But, so, what were we saying earlier? Keep your stomach wrap around. I think she's got her stomach where she's got.
he's gonna fall asleep.
No, I'm not. Okay, yeah, okay. Say goodnight. So we'll do chapter 2.
Tomorrow night.
Yeah, tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night, chapter 2.
Yeah, because how
Coming
many
up.
chapters are in here?
Forget. There are 14. So it would take us 2 weeks. We do one a night. Maybe we'll do 2 a night.
Yeah.
If we can get started a bit earlier.
Yeah. I can't. Patty Bozo! Go sip and compare tea. I don't know what's wrong with me. Thank you, baby, for helping.
I'm happy to help. I guess that heavy-duty warrior a little bit.
What? You can't say that.
We can say hibbity-dib. We got merch that says it.
Oh my god! We can't. We having digits before.
Yeah.
Okay, you guys. So, do you have any last words to say?
Just say Heather.
And
Okay.
just say Heather. Hold up. Wait a minute.
Heather!
Invite. Stream yard. Boom.
You inviting people up?
Yeah. I'm just trying to learn how to do it.
No, of course, Canadian cookie.
Can you help me figure out that? They can come up if they want to. They can keep it. Alright, so is that it?
That's it for reading.
Alright. So the next we do for head. We're gonna check your head. Okay, anyway, so
How do you tell how many people are in the live? Because it doesn't show on the stream right there.
I know, it's so fucked up. Okay, so sometimes
I mean, you got to have a good, 25, 30 people.
go sipping tea on it, yeah. Okay.
Well, I don't think anyone's going to want to pop up.
Ow.
And you're going to fall asleep sitting there.
No.
No.
I'm getting a little sleepy, yeah, but also I'm gonna be awake because I kind of want to. Okay. Ooh. These drinks are good. Mark found them for me. Oh man, are they crazy?
Yeah, they're called heavies.
Yeah.
Not for lightweights.
No, not for lightweight. So that's when I saw them. Sorry. Okay, so I'll wait until we go. Okay, so tomorrow we're gonna do chapter 2, right?
Chapter 2, maybe chapter 3 if we have time. It's just we got started with it a bit late. So we'll see.
Okay, so next time we won't start late. I'm sorry.
It's
My
okay.
bad. And we had
Well,
weirdness. Okay. Anyways, love y'all. And babe, what'd you think about reading?
yeah, I'm good with reading. I am out of practice,
Well, that's good.
but
Practice
I
makes
tried.
perfect, yeah.
I'll get better.
So then another thing that's pretty awesome is that we will have somebody, I don't know who we're going to pick, but we're going to pick somebody who's, I don't know, special, whatever. But, excuse me. It's like stuck. You like that pipe?
I do.
It does keep you like going through it.
Yeah.
Okay, so anyways. So, well, we're just going to start with the next one next time.
Yep.
It's going to be New Year. I don't know.
It'll be fun.
It will be fun.
Yep.
I don't know.
We'll do it up.
Hopefully people don't think it's like retarded. I don't know. Escape if you think so. But
Yeah, if you don't want to watch an old man with a pipe reading to you.
no, that was fun. We all got to just hang out, have fun, blast to each other.
If I have time, I'll actually read through it myself once so I don't get so tripped up.
Yeah, and I just took my sleeping medication, and it's making me feel crazy. So anyways, time to end it, you guys. Thank you so much for hanging out, and everyone, you guys are awesome tonight.
Thank you, peeps.
Yeah, thank you.
Love, 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 love.
And no, also though, also. We were just like short of people, but they come I'm not sure how I'm trying to say this. I'm sorry. I sound stupid. Baby, finish it off for me. I'm sorry. Good night, y'all. Thank you so much for being here tonight. Baby, thank you for reading the book. I
Yes.
will let you finish this live stream off, and the next one will be next week. I don't know. I love you.
Well, I don't know the best way to finish it because it's not my channel, so I think I'll just go catch you all tomorrow. We'll read chapter 2 of this book. And until then, have an awesome Monday, and we'll see you tomorrow night. And until then, bye!
Yeah, bye!